Hello, Career Tech students. I guess first I need to introduce myself since it's hard to believe, but there are some of you sixth graders that we've never met face-to-face in class since we have started this quarantine time. My name is Sid Carter. I am the career technology teacher, and I wanted to give you a face-to-face with some of the information that you're going to need to complete the latter part of this career tech class. I've kept it very easy so far. I think you'll have to admit, those of you who have been participating, and by the way, those of you who have been doing such a great job of getting online and getting those things accomplished, way to go. You're doing exactly what we hoped that our students would be able to do with this different format. I know it's tough. I know it's way different than what you're normally used to and accustomed to, rather. But we certainly were hoping that our students would rise to the occasion, and many of you have. And we do so appreciate that. And you may not know it now, but trust me, in the long run, you'll be able to look back and be so thankful that you did, because you won't be as far behind, and you'll be able to just hit the ground running when things go back to normal, which I promise you, they definitely are going to go back to normal, and that's just right around the corner. But I did want to come to you today for this face-to-face and kind of help you with the Whitebox Learning program, which is an online web-based program that many of you have dabbled in, especially if you're 7th or 8th graders. You've definitely done some work with it in my class. But for you 6th graders, I know this is new. But it's a pretty easy program, and it's all self-motivated learning, which right now in this time is really coming into play with us being able to continue school as normal. So for my class and for the Whitebox program, I wanted to give you a few tips on what to do and how to manage that program so that you can get credit.
Okay, here's the online version of our tutorial today. And we're going to start by typing in www.whiteboxlearning.com, and that should take you to this login page. But everyone is going to start by clicking login, and then you'll see all the modules that are offered for us, about 12 right now so far. And we're going to be focusing on rockets in the 6th grade, gliders in the 7th grade, and structures, which is a balsa bridge, in the 8th grade. But for today, we're going to start with an example module, the dragster. So I put in my student ID. Yours will be your regular 5-digit student ID. And then our group ID is 11 letter A, letter D. And group ID is the same for everyone. So put that in, click login, and it takes you to the start page. Of course, there's 5 different areas. We're not going to be able to do number 5, unfortunately, but 1 through 4 should give us a good start. And of course, we want to begin with research. I know it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but none of you know anything or know a lot. Some of you may know a little bit, but you don't know a lot about the area or the module that you've been given. So this is the way that you find out not only the history, but also the background and the information that's going to let you be successful at building the virtual form of your module. So we're going to click on research. You'll see a blank page to start with. Here's our table of contents. We click on the first page and it pops up. Now, you can click on these pages over here, but it may keep you from seeing some of the things. So you definitely want to click the next button. It's right down here at the bottom. Let's see if I can adjust the size of the screen. Next. And when you click next, it'll take you to that next page. But sometimes, look, boom, a hidden page will pop up. So here's a hidden page. It's a user interface tutorial. These are very important. They tell you how to work all the buttons, how to select things, how to change things, how to enter information. Very important for you to use the tutorials. And they also have a previous and a next page button as well. But if I keep clicking next, you'll see it takes me on to the next page. And just as I'm sure some of you are used to, after you have a reading assignment, you have a quiz just to see did you actually read it. So here's the background quiz for the background section. When I click on it, the quiz comes up, but you'll notice that the background research page stayed up. In fact, you can click on those pages, and that you can go right into them and look for the answer. And that's one of the nice things about this program is you don't have to just remember these items. Don't just click through and guess, because you'll get the answer incorrect. But look for the answer and put the answer in. And there's some real cool ways that help you get the right answer. One of them is one of my favorites, which is the F3 or Command Find button. So if I'm looking for something specific, like for instance, the key words in this is design and product. So if I go back into the reading material, I can click F3 or Control F, and you'll see that a box pops up right up here, and I can type in the word design or product, either one, since that was two of the keywords. But everywhere on this page, as I click down, look, everywhere that word design pops up is highlighted. And that really helps you center in on the answer to a question very quickly. Again, that's F3 or the Control F button, and that'll allow you to jump right to that. So if I go back to the quiz, it says to design, we must carefully consider. Well, there's two more good words, carefully and consider. We might want to type in the word consider up here, and it would tell us what we would be looking for as far as that word. But if I look, I can see that on this page, there is a place that talks about what we're considering when it has to do with designs. So I look on down here, there's design, there's design. Oh, here's something. All designs require careful consideration. Consider, there's that word again. So what do you have to consider? The purpose or function of the product. So if we go back to the background quiz, again, that was right here. Go back to the background quiz, purpose, function of the product. And you can see that I've already answered that question and I got it correct. And I hope you'll see all green checks when you're answering these questions. Hey, phone up a friend. Y'all work on them together. Whatever you've got to do, but do your very best, because I do count 2 of your quizzes. So you may have 4 quizzes, you may have 5 or even 6, but I'm only going to count the 2 highest grades you make. So take your time. Don't just click through and guess, because if your 2 highest grades are pretty low grades, I still have to count them. So make sure you're doing your very best. You theoretically should make 2 100s, since you're able to go back and look for the right answer. So keep that in mind. Finish up the rest of these, as you look through. Here's a great guy to get to know, Mr. Isaac Newton. But as you read through all these different parts and things that you want to learn about, you'll have some quizzes. Some of them are hard. If you get on a hard quiz, hey, that's why we throw out some of the quizzes, because some of them are hard. Some of them are just factual information. So focus on the ones that you can find the answer for, and just don't even worry about those others. Again, 2 best quizzes. After you have finished the research, you should know something about the module that you have chosen. Now you can move on into the fun part, which is the actual engineering. So in Dragsters, here's the Dragster, and you'll see there's 2 main buttons over here. One button is an eyeball, and that lets you see something. See, I turned all the eyeballs off and it went blank. So the eyeball lets you see. And of course, the wrench is a tool, and the tool lets you work on something. So if I click both of them, I can work and see what I'm working on. And this is much like all your other programs will be. You'll have some settings that you can choose from. You'll have some things that you can manipulate. Like, for instance, I can literally move and change the shape of the top of this car by adjusting these dots. But then there's also sometimes there's settings that you can put in. Like, for instance, right here, here's a front axle, and I could change the length of this front axle, maybe go from 40 to 50, and I can apply that. And it changes how long the front axle is. After I have applied it, I can hit done. If I didn't like what it did, I can hit reset, and it'll go back to the original one. But those are all settings specific to Dragster. You'll have different settings for your module that you're working on. After you have done everything you think you should be doing, you may want to go to Outputs, which is one of our tabs at the top, and click Design Specifications. Now, this is one of the most important things you'll see, because this tells you what's right. Those are the things in black. And what's wrong? Those are the things in red. We don't want any red words on our design specifications. We call this our spec sheet. You can be in spec if all of them are black. You are out of spec when you have these red words, and we don't want any red, so we want to get rid of these. What I suggest students always do is just start at the top and work your way down. With this particular dragster, you can see I have several things that are incorrect here, 3 things to fix. Specifically, so I want to get these completed and fixed up. Like for instance, the width of the body, I need to change that. It needs to be minimum 37 and maximum 42. Well, I'm at 36, which means I'm too small. So I need to make it a little bit bigger so that it's between 37 and 42. And that should be easy to do just by making the width of the body a little bigger. And I can go into engineering now and fix those things. Now, once I've gone to engineering and fixed all the things that I need to fix, I go here to File, and I need to save either a working copy, which means I still want to do some more work on it, or save and enter the competition. Now, I've already named this cool car, but if you were to click save a working copy, you'd have to type in a name for your particular module, whether it be a bridge or the glider or the rocket. If I hit enter the competition, it takes that specific design, and now I can go to the competition, and it enters it into the staged area. The staged area is kind of like the on-deck circle in baseball. It means you're getting ready to do something. So only the staged area is where you should see your new design. If I click it, I can have the choice of being contender 1 or 2, and then I can click maybe some of these others, and I can see some people I can race against. Here's a bunch of Risley people who are over here. Here's a couple more Glenn people, but unfortunately they're all in the out of spec category. So you get group, classroom, my designs, all these different places that you can go up against somebody. Or you can choose just to race yourself. So I can go up against my own design, and I hit start down here at the bottom, and it takes me to the competition. At the end of whatever the competition is, you'll get a readout, and it's very important to see that result sheet because you want to be able to see exactly how your car did, or your dragster, rocket, whatever it was that you were racing, and it gives you some very important information so you can see. One of the most important things is to see if you are in spec or out of spec. Now, you remember back when we were looking on the specification sheet, a lot of red, so definitely I was out of spec, so I need to fix those things. All right, so you can either go back and race again, or just for fun, or race someone else, or most importantly, you're going to want to go to outputs and fix these things that are out of spec. Go back to engineering and manipulate that module so that it's just like you want it. Again, we have 5 different areas. We won't get to the build and test part, which is the real build and test, but virtually you can test yours as many times as you want. It's kind of fun when you can get some folks who are also in your class. It gives you a great way to connect during this time of at-home study. Maybe you can race each other and put some Glen Middle names up there on the board. All right, that should be it. Now back to me in the workshop.
One of our assignments has been the weekly questions, and each week I've given you just a single question to complete. I think that's pretty reasonable, pretty easy way to make a grade for my class. But for this week's question, it's going to come straight from this video, and the question is going to ask about what item did I show in the video, and that item is this little tiny hammer. But it reminds me of you Glen Middle students. This small hammer, even though small in size, is full of surprises, just like you hurricanes. One of the cool things is right in the handle is a screwdriver. And I've always thought that was so amazing. In fact, not only does it have one screwdriver, but if you unscrew the next part, it has another. In fact, just when you think it can't go any farther, it has even one more. In fact, it's the smallest of all. You know if you can see that real tiny screwdriver hidden in the handle. So I hope you'll be able to answer that question for this week and indicate that it was a small hammer that I was holding. And I hope you'll use this information from Whitebox to complete the assignment in the 6th grade. Of course, it's rockets, In the 7th grade, it's gliders, and in the 8th grade, it's the structure program where we build bridges. 2 quizzes are the only ones that I will count for each module, whether it be for 6th, 7th, or 8th. So even though you have more quizzes than that, I'll take the 2 best and only count those.
This is pretty much the worst video ever made.
Do your very best. That's all you can do. Kobe! And we'll start again next year, fresh for you 8th graders. It's a crazy way to end the year, but it will end nonetheless, and you'll be able to hit the ground next year in high school and excel and make us proud.